Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2, and today I'm going to be giving you part 23 of What If Naruto Push Himself to His Limit. Remember to get this one to 300 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also stay in tune. I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto Was Born in the Uzumaki clan. So stay in tune for that, and I do hope that you guys enjoy. And also, later on I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto Was Raised by the Hyuga clan. So stay tuned for that as well guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice, and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all for help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying and talking back to all of you. So without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last time we left off, Naruto came face to face with Itachi. As Itachi asked Naruto, how does he feel about his brother? As Naruto told him, despite having that bond broken a long time ago, he would try to get Sasuke a life sentence other than death. Because after what he did, they'd probably try him to death. But he would try to make him get a life sentence and probably parole. Itachi released a sigh hearing that, as he decided to tell Naruto everything. He told Naruto all about the massacre and what really happened. Back at Konoha, Jiraiya was shocked to what Tsunade just told him, that when she did the test, she tested to see if Naruto had any other relatives. It seems like the both of them were connected by her brother Naoki. So after all these years, the both of them were family, and she didn't know how to tell Naruto. She was scared. But Jiraiya simply chuckled and told her that Naruto would just probably say that it's a better reason to call her Bachan. As she chuckled, figuring that it was true, Jiraiya decided it was time for him to leave, as he told Tsunade to bet that he would die, seeing that she always loses her bets. And when he come back alive, they can go and grab a drink together. And with that, he said his goodbyes and headed off, leaving behind a sad Tsunade. Meanwhile, Naruto was stopped by the masked man, as he sent his group to go ahead and find Sasuke, as he gave Kakashi a scroll to seal Sasuke and Itachi. It was a prisoner transportation scroll. Naruto faced off against the masked man, as the both of them had a wicked battle, as he couldn't touch Naruto, seeing that Naruto was using the higher Shin and Naruto couldn't touch him either. Having enough of that, Naruto released a catastrophic. It was like a power of nature, changing the very fabric of the landscape. Lightning, an explosion that rang through a decimated area of the forest. Hinata couldn't even see it with her Byakugan because the place was so saturated with chakra, it nearly blinded her. After releasing that power, the fox instantly worked on healing Naruto. As the masked man arrived, he was in bad condition, one of his arms, one of his legs, and his mask was cracked. Naruto, after receiving a report from Kakashi, he flashed away as the masked man collapsed and screamed out in pain and agony. His body was in terrible shape and he had to retreat himself. As Naruto arrived, they captured Sasuke and the dead body of Itachi. It was time for them to go back home. Meanwhile, Jiraiya arrived as he was stopped by Konan. Konan was confused what to do now, as this is the main reason why they never told Jiraiya that she and Naruto were together, because they knew that he would come here. The situation was really bad now, as she sent Jiraiya a message on her paper, telling him to get out of here. Jiraiya was confused, but he went along with it and kept on battling and sending back message to her, until the summoning pain arrived. As Jiraiya asked what happened to him, he simply told that this world forced him to grow up, and he has long since discarded humanity. Because right now, he's a god. So yeah guys, that was basically last where we left off. You guys can switch across to the place and check it out for yourself. So, what do you say we begin this new episode? Jiraiya kept his face blank as Pain finished his monologue about being a god. So what are your intentions now? Asked Jiraiya. To cleanse this world of meaningless strife. That is the work of a god, he said. If that is your goal, why are you collecting the bijous? Asked Jiraiya. You're going to die anyways. That is the only reason I'm telling you my goal. As Jiraiya's eyes narrowed hearing that. By using the sealed bijous, I will create a new forbidden jutsu. With only a single use of that jutsu, even an entire nation can be wiped out in a single instant. It is the ultimate forbidden jutsu weapon. And I will give this jutsu to the nations. Eventually, they will use it. Hundreds, if not millions of people will die instantly. After witnessing the display, they will be terrified. All of them will know true pain. That terrible act will be a deterrent, and the conflicts will vanish. Pain will force the world to grow up and realize its mistake. For the world to move forward and grow up, divine help is necessary. Konan bit her lip, hearing his plans now without being corrupted by him. She could see that was just pure nonsense. A weapon like that won't bring peace, it will just cause more pain. Whole nations will be extinguished. An untold number of people will just die, and that will just cause the world more pain, and the conflict will still go on and on and on. And when those survive, those who had their loved ones killed by that weapon, they will just go on in rage, building their own weapon, trying to achieve vengeance, and it will just go on and on again. Jiraiya started to laugh here in pain, real goal, because he thought the same thing as Konan. You think that by destroying the world you will make it grow faster? That is the lamest, most idiotic thing I ever heard. You won't be making anything grow, you will just kill this world and everyone in it. I guess in a way you will create peace, if the peace of the grave is what you're looking for. Pain shook his head. You just can't understand, Sensei. You are still a regular human. And that is how I know I'm right, said Jiraiya. Unlike you, mister, I transcended humanity. I am a human, and I understand other humans. You create that weapon. You think the people who lost their loved one will just sit down? No, they will rage against, and they will fight, and the war, the suffering, the pain, it will still continue. What are you thinking, Nagato? It doesn't matter what you say. It is only my will, the will of a god, that really matters. As Pain then vanished, Jiraiya looked over to see Pain on another summon, a chameleon. To me, you're nothing but an insignificant child. You are still stunned in this world, said Pain. Jiraiya shook his head. I have to admit to hear from a kid like you telling me that I need to grow up. It's quite funny coming from a brat like you. You say that you're a god. But I am no longer a human either, said Jiraiya as he went through hand sign, as was a poof of smoke. Flooded by the anger, I cried tears of blood. I am Jiraiya, the legendary Toad Sannin, the sage of Mount Miyaboku. The great Jiraiya, his speech was cut off as he fell over and the surface started to move. Konan was floating in the sky as she felt like face palming. She wanted to get Jiraiya out of the situation without making Pain find out that he was a spy. But Jiraiya collapsing over on his own summon. And this is the man who trained her to come, she thought, as she shook her head. You really haven't grown up, have you? Said Pain. You're still as clumsy and childish as ever. Damn it, Gamaka-san, don't move around when I'm striking my pose, said Jiraiya. The massive toad had clothes on just like Gamabunta. He had horns on his head. He had black markings going down his face and held two objects in his hands, a shield in one and a sashima in the other. Don't blame me, it's your own fault that you tripped over your feet like a clumsy idiot. No respect, said Jiraiya as he rubbed his face. We're going to have to use everything we have on this guy. I'm going to use Sage Mode for this. The toad looked up in shock. What? Jiraiya, are you really going to use that so soon? Is this guy so powerful? He's likely going to be one of the toughest opponents we will ever face. That's why I'm summoning the two great Sage Toads. Though it's going to take a while and I won't be able to split my hands, I'm going to need you to buy me some time. Do you think you can do that? The toad nodded. You got it, Jiraiya. I am not that strong, but I'll give it my best. Meanwhile, Konan was watching the battle. Despite being old now and acting like a fool most of the time, Jiraiya was still powerful and he was holding his own against Pain. If he was facing her, she had no doubt she wouldn't be able to win. But Pain was still holding back. And the others were still not here yet. It was going to take a lot for him to come out of this alive. As the battle raged on down there, as the toad had to face off against dogs. It faced off against a mighty ox and a bird that dropped bombs from the sky. As the battle raged on, Jiraiya saw that the toad was getting worn out. Jiraiya then smiled. Gamakin, you can go home now. I'm ready. Thanks for your help. The toad nodded as he poofed away. The mighty ox smashed into Jiraiya, sending him right in the wall as he buried into it. But the ox didn't stop as he came in at Jiraiya. But the ox was sent sailing back with great force. Kid, why do you always summon us to annoying place like this? No wonder Bunta is always angry at you. An elderly voice came from the hole that Jiraiya was in the wall. Don't be like that, Ma. You know Jiraiya always have a reason for summoning us. Said another elderly voice. For crying out loud, be quiet, Pa. Sorry for summoning both of you here, Fukasaku-sama. Shima-sama, said Jiraiya. But Brat, said Shima, didn't you always say that you hate this farm because it makes you ugly and chase away all the girls? That is why you only use it when fighting the other Brat. Jiraiya chuckled. Naruto would be pissed to hear you call him Brat. But there is no other choice now. I am fighting an opponent with a running gun after all. The legendary Sage Ice? To think, it really exists. Jiraiya then stepped out of the shadows, with the two small toads on his shoulder, looking up in full Sage mode. As the battle started, watching the battle from above, Konan was watching every single thing. She was impressed with what Jiraiya's Sage mode has shown just far. Just like what Naruto told her, it allowed the user to surpass their limitations. It is a fearsome technique. However, with his Sage mode, he hasn't even landed a hit on one of Pain's path. It was moments like these that show how hopeless the situation really was. Konan knew that she had to do something to get Jiraiya out of the situation. He was not just her teacher, but he was Naruto's as well, and he was Naruto's godfather, the sole remaining link to his parents. She will never be able to forgive herself if she let everything just take their course here, if she could have done something to stop it. But could she really go against Pain? It was one thing when spying on him, but she never raised a hand against him. It might have made her feel guilty betraying him like what she had, but she told herself it was for his own good. He has long since forgotten himself and what his real goal is. But fighting against him would be another matter entirely. To look him deep in the face and let him know how far your depths of your betrayal went. And yet she couldn't just stand here and do nothing. In the end, it came down to a choice. Stand with Naruto and the light that he represented, or stand with Nagato and the growing darkness that Madara has cast over him. Meanwhile, Jiraiya was trying to think of a way to face off against the three paths. Jiraiya-chan, I think it's best if we fall back right now, said Paul. I think you may be right, said Jiraiya. Despite not wanting to retreat, he knew a hopeless situation when he saw one. At the moment, there were still too many unknown factors to go up against. As of now, nothing was a defeat against the man that they were facing. The Rasengan that he used earlier was absorbed like it was nothing. The attacks were keep on repelling, and he could not get behind their blind spots. It was just as he was about to escape in the pipes. Something happened that shocked everyone. Several thousand paper shurikens soared down from the sky, going down on the three Pains. The attack came at a sudden shock for Jiraiya and Pain himself. As the paths got several deep cuts, it was only when the Prida path got a deep cut right in his face that is when the Pains reacted. The animal path went through Hansa and summoned a large crab once again, as the paths went underneath it to avoid the paper shurikens. The hailstorm of sharp shurikens lasted for a full minute before it ended. When it stopped, Konan materialized between the two, forming from several thousand papers. Konan, Pain said. Whether he was surprised or not, his voice did not show it. It was just calm as usual. What are you doing, Konan? He said. I am doing what I have to, said Konan, as she looked up at him pleadingly. I am asking you to stop this. Please stop this. Stop fighting Jiraiya. Stop trying to gather the Bijus. Nothing good can come from what you're doing. As none of the paths reacted, Jiraiya was shocked, as he had the what the hell moments. Konan, you know what we're doing is the only true path to peace, Pain said. You have always agreed with my ideals, and have always done your best to support me in them. Because of our friendship, I will give you this one chance to repent. Return to the headquarters and we will talk. If you defy me once more, I will show you true pain. Konan gritted her teeth and looked away from the animal path, who seemed to have taken up the spoke's job for the three of them, as she squeezed her eyes shut. As she could feel tears coming, but she didn't allow them to fall. She was not surprised that he had threatened her like this, despite them being friends for a long time. He had really lost himself. It was now fully clear that the man she once known, he was dead. But it really hurt her to hear Nagato threaten her like that. Hearing him talk to her that he will show her true pain. So this is how it is, she said. You become so blind of what you think is right, you'll even strike down your best friend. It is because you are my best friend I will strike you down if you continue to defy me, Pain said. It means that you have lost sight of our goals, and you have become corrupted. I will be doing you a justice by killing you before your memory become tainted of what the true goal is. You have truly changed, Nagato. No, she said. I can no longer call you that. The Nagato I knew died a long time ago. I deluded myself to think that you were the same man. I never want to admit that the kind, compassionate boy that I met back then when I was much younger, who I had considered a part of my family, died. He died that same day with Yaiko. A single tear fell down her cheek as she looked at the three paths with a glare. I cannot delude myself to think that I can save you anymore. I have always hoped, prayed that I can pull you away from this path of destruction, but I see now it's a foolish dream. However, the sacrifices that you, Yaiko and I made back then, I won't let you destroy them, even if I have to fight you. No one said anything after that for a long moment, as Jiraiya stood there. Jiraiya was confused as hell. He wasn't even sure of what is going on right now. The animal path then spoke. Then so be it, he said. Bursting into action, all three paths went on a war path. Wings shot out of Konan's back as she flew up in the air and flapped them. They would have hit the target dead on, but the animal path sent the crab to block the attacks. Thanks to that, the human path quickly reached Jiraiya as it began a taijutsu match with him. But Jiraiya dodged the attack and grabbed the path's wrist and yanked him. Jiraiya pulled his right fist back as he was about to release a deadly punch. Behind you, Jiraiya-chan, as Paul's voice connected to his ear. Instead of punching the path, Jiraiya twisted his body as he thrust the path to what was behind him. The thing behind him was the crab that the path had summoned again. It just looked like it was about to crush him with one of its claws. With the human path coming at it, the large creature was forced to stop its attack. As this small stop gave Konan a chance to launch her attack at the crustacean, she sent several paper bombs on it, attaching to the eyes and the nerves and the open parts under the shell. With a hand sign, the creature exploded, sending it back to the summoning world. Unfortunately for Konan, this gave the human path, who had recovered, a chance to attack her, as it came up with a dynamic leap. Driving its foot right into her back, he kicked her hard. With a loud cry of surprise, Konan was sent spiraling down to the ground like a bullet. But Jiraiya leaped up in the air as he catched her, before dropping back to the ground. Thank you, she said as he set her down. You can thank me by telling me what's going on, Jiraiya said. I will, if we make it out of this alive, she said, as she looked at the three paths. The animal path had summoned a three-headed dog. The human path was running along the wall. Meanwhile, the Predator path stood back, watching silently. Konan knew that they couldn't waste time fighting anymore. If we're going to get out of this, we need to leave now. Easier said than done, said Jiraiya. As he went through hand signs, his hair hardened and grew at a quick rate. The hair separated the three paths as it attacked each of the paths. The animal and Predator path, not being made for combat, had to jump away. But the Predator path then stepped forward when the both of them got together and used its absorption to make the hair jutsu useless. Jiraiya long hair quickly retracted after that, no longer having the chakra to maintain its form. But if nothing else, it forced the two paths back. But the human path was fast and it was strong, as the human path was able to dodge Jiraiya's attack long before the hair reached it, seeing that it could see through the other visions. Jiraiya didn't even bother to attack the dog, as they learned from past experience how troublesome that was. Him and Konan had to dodge. Konan flew high in the air while Jiraiya jumped back as she released a barrage of papers down towards the human path. The path had to move away before the papers rained down on him, allowing Jiraiya to step back and get a distance between him and the dog. Konan flew back down to Jiraiya. We should probably split up, she said. Head back down the way you came while I take to the air. Head northeast until you reach the lake. That is where we'll meet up. I guess I have no choice but to listen to you, Jiraiya said. Alright then, let's do this, he bit his thumb as he went through hand sign. Summoning jutsu, he said, as there was a poof of smoke. As a large toad appeared that towered over most of the buildings. He had green skin with two mighty katana on his back. He had yellow eyes with a sash around his stomach. Gamma Hero, I need you to help me to make an escape out of this place, said Jiraiya from on top of the toad's head. Huh? Jiraiya-san. Fukazaku-sama? Shima-sama? What are you two doing here, Gamma Hero asked. Never mind that, Gamma Hero boy, said Pa. We need to concentrate on making an exit. Right, I don't know what's going on, but I'll do what I can to help. Gamma Hero pulled out his blades. He rushed the first thing in his path, the dogs. Before the dogs could even move, he sliced them into half with ease. But they split into three separate dogs. But Gamma Hero leaped over their heads as he crashed into the side of a building, jumped into another building. As the three pains watched them go, Konan, who was flying in the air while Jiraiya was on his toad. The animal path went through hand signs as he summoned a giant bird. The bird went after Konan while the dogs went after Jiraiya. Meanwhile, where the three paths had come from, the three other chambers cracked open with a hiss of steam. Meanwhile, Konan moved out of the way as the bird brushed past her. As she felt the feathers, it really wanted to knock her out of the air. Not only that, but it was sharp as she looked at her cloak, as the part that the feathers barely touched her cut through. The bird then spun around in mid-air, coming towards her as she sent a barrage of paper shuriken towards it. It tried to dodge, but it was too big, and Konan sent her shurikens in a barrage. But her attack didn't do much damage, just leaving cuts on its wings on its back. It did not dispel it. Since the summon was a reanimated corpse at the other paths, it didn't feel much pain like it should have. In an effort to lose it, Konan started to descend back down to the city below. The bird had an advantage. In the open air, it was much faster than she was. It would have catch her. But if she can make her way into the twisted streets and the skyscrapers, she could lose it. But the summon didn't want her to get into the city as it dive bomb, speeding down their loud screech. There was no time for her to dodge as it drilled right through her, but she burst into several dozen papers. As the many papers scattered into the air, all of them turned into mini airplanes and took off in all different directions, making it impossible for the bird to follow. She only hoped that this trick would be enough to fool Nagato, at least long enough for her to meet her back with Jiraiya. Meanwhile, Jiraiya was duking out with the dogs. As Gamma Hero quickly realized jumping onto the high platforms would not work, it seems like the dogs all had a link with each other. Thankfully, Gamma Hero has yet to be injured with his talent with his blade, as he was able to slice them down when they came at him, and he was quite flexible. As Gamma Hero sliced down several pipes and building structures to make it collapse down on the dogs behind him. But it didn't really do much as they simply multiplied and kept on coming. Gamma Hero Jiraiya said, "They're trying to throw us off course. Please head to a spot where you can only deal with them one at a time. Try to head further north." "That sounds tough, but I'll do what I can," said Gamma Hero, as Gamma Hero leaped through a couple of buildings with top speed. As a dog jumped in front of Gamma Hero put his sword in an X motion as he sliced. Ripping right through the dog, he kept on jumping. But several more dogs started to come out in the open following them. "I think we need to use something that packs some more punch," said Ma, as Jiraiya turned to see the dogs. "Something that will sweep them all the way in a quick blaze." "Jiraiya-chan, Pa, you know what to do," Ma said. The both of them nodded. Jiraiya spun around as all three of them went through a set of hand signs. Simple. Jiraiya spit out a large stream of oil while Ma shot out fire and Pa shot out wind. As Pa wind converted Jiraiya oil and make it spin in a tornado. As the fire struck it, that created a tornado of pure flames. As it took on a torrent of hot flames that looked like it came from the sun itself. And the wind made it even more intense as it raged along the area. None of the dogs were spared as it blazed into them. Their bodies turned to ashes. "Jiraiya-chan, perhaps we should use his pipes to make our way to destination point," said Pa. "I think that's a good idea. Out here we're outnumbered and the playing field put us at a great disadvantage." "Gamma Hero, we're going into the pipes. I want you to do what you can to lead the summons away. However, don't push yourself. If you get hurt, they spell." "Good luck, Jiraiya-san," said Gamma Hero, as the both of them separated. "Are you sure we can trust this woman, Jiraiya boy?" asked Pa. as they were running through the pipes. Honestly, I do not know. When I first got here, she was the one who attacked me. But she never actually tried to kill me. She used her combat to slip message to me by her paper. She had tried to warn me away. Also, she's now helping me fight against pain. And I can't see any reason for her to set up such a elaborate deception to defeat us. It was painful to admit, but Jiraiya knew if the fight had progressed much further, he would have probably lost. On the other hand, she's with Akatsuki and Nagato's best friend. If she betrayed him that mean, something major has happened to her that forced her to change her mind. But I can't think of anything that will have the emotional impact to make someone do that. I suppose we don't have any real choice but to trust her then, said Paul. In the meantime, we should analyze the sixth path and see if we can come up with a strategy to defeat them. Especially if this does turn out to be a trap. Do you have any ideas? Jiraiya asked. No, not yet, but if we look over what we know so far, something might come to us. Let's take a look at what we know. While all of them look different, they all possess the same eye. All three of them have the Rinnegan of the sixth path. I am still not sure what to make of that, said Jiraiya with a frown. The Rinnegan is supposed to be a myth. No one has seen it since the state of sixth path. When I discovered this a while back, I was surprised that Nagato possessed those eyes. But now there are two others that possess the Dojutsu as well. I suppose we should ask then, which one is real pain? Though I'm not sure that would matter, the problem is all three of them possess the same eyes. We don't know who or what pain is, but we can make a small suggestion on their abilities. Their vision is linked and they share images. That seem to be the main thing those eyes hold. So what does that mean, asked Ma? Think of their three eyes, like three security cameras. In the same way a security camera can through different angles of different images, they can show the same thing to each other. They can see three views at one time. So if just one of them can see the target, then the other two can see it as well. In other words, their field of vision is 3 times better than any other shinobi. No wonder their combination seems so invincible, said Pa. Which means if we want to defeat them, we have to split them up and fight them separately, said Jiraiya. I am positive in a one-on-one battle we will win. But taijutsu seem out of a sort in a team with them. And ninjutsu will just be absorbed. Then I suppose we have to go with genjutsu, said Ma. Ma and Hai have a genjutsu that we can do, but I would rather we use it as a last resort. Good thing we're meeting up with that girl. There was an explosion as a human path break right through the pipes. It rushed towards Jiraiya with incredible speed. He kicked after Jiraiya. Jiraiya ducked under it and tried to grab his leg, but he retracted his foot. Jiraiya turned his body against the other foot that nearly smashed right in his face. He then crossed his arms as he lashed out the other foot, kicking right into Jiraiya's defense. But Jiraiya stood his ground as he grabbed the human path and swung him around and tossed him right into the wall. The human path was sent right through the wall, right in a human-sized crater. But Jiraiya learned too late this was all a distraction, as another path that he hasn't faced before appeared behind him. This one was tall, a very bald man with a strange body complex. He had a very thick neck and no ears. Like all the others he had been fighting, this one possessed Nagato's eyes. It was the only body not to have orange hair though, that because it had no hair at all. It also had a long tail that stretched from its back. You should never let your guard down, Jiraiya-sensei. Jiraiya tried to spin, but an arm lashed onto his left arm and a fist smashed into his gut. Jiraiya was sent flying straight through the tunnel that he was in, breaking through the pipe. As there was then an explosion right behind him, as he was sent sailing through the tunnel that he was in. Jiraiya's feet hit the water as he sailed along the trench. As he came to a stop. Jiraiya boy, your arm is missing, said Ma. Jiraiya wanted to come up with a sarcastic, witty banter, but he was in too much pain to think properly. I'm well aware of that. What's going on, said Pa. This one is different, said Jiraiya. Jiraiya-sensei, as Konan landed right beside him. Your arm is missing, she said. Yeah, no kidding, Jiraiya said. Are you alright, she asked. I'll live, so long as I can get this fixed up before I bleed to death. Jiraiya's eyes went wide when he looked up. What is this? Those are the 6 paths of pain, said Konan, looking up at the 6 bodies, her eyes only focused on the one in the center. They are the reanimated corpse of people Nagato used for his paths. They are pain, all of them. Wait, what? They are pain. Those people are corpses that Nagato used his Rinnegan ability on, reanimating them and gifted them with the Rinnegan. They are all connected to him and he controlled them. He passed his ability to them, one by one. They are controlled by those chakra receivers. Now I see, said Jiraiya. The real one is somewhere else controlling them. That will explain why they all have one ability. and all share the same link. As Konan nodded, his eyes landed on one of them. Konan, is that? Yes. It's a corpse of Yaiko, she said. She hated the way her friend used her other friend in such a way. After seeing everything now, it just pained her to see him use it. As Jiraiya stared up in the eyes of Yaiko, it was unnerving seeing someone that you remember like that. Almost like Naruto, and now with that emotionless face. Konan said, the day of a path. I will give you one more chance to return to me. I understand like you might be feeling pressure from what we're doing. But you know, what we're doing is to ensure peace. I don't believe that, said Konan. I can no longer believe that, Pain. We are not creating peace, our ideals were lost with Yaiko. All we're doing now is creating more tragedies. Do you truly believe that? Konan closed her eyes. Yes. I see, said Tendo Pain. Then you, along with Jiraiya, shall know pain. Meanwhile, at Kumo, Yujito was in one of the main bars. As she was drinking, you seem bothered. Here to share what is bothering you. As Yujito looked up to see her friend Samui. Oh, nothing much, she said, as she drank the sake. I guess I'm just going to let her stir crazy from not being able to take missions. Since the Akatsuki thing, that they nearly captured her, both she and B has been under house arrest. Now, while that term may have been a little harsh, it was accurate. She was not allowed to leave Kumo under any circumstances. The Raikage told her until Akatsuki was taken care of, she will not be leaving the village. The only time that she went out is when she was going to the Chunin exams when she saw Naruto. And that was because she was with Killer B and A, and the Chunin exams were being held in Konoha. As she frowned, it has been a while since she has seen Naruto, mainly due to the mission that he was now on. She didn't know what the mission exactly was, but she was told that it had to do something with Sasuke Uchiha, her fiancé traitorous teammate. That had been nearly 2 weeks ago, and she still hadn't heard from him. You know, hiding your feelings and thoughts from your friends is not very cool, said Samui. Yujito snorted a bit. She sighed. I dislike being a burden, she said. Whoever said that you are a burden, Samui asked. No one, they don't need to, she said, shrugging her shoulders. But as things stand right now, I am more of a burden than an asset. With Akatsuki on the loose, I can't take any missions. I've been confined to the village. I can't even go out to train. Even Killer B could travel to his favorite training spot on Rikyu. Meanwhile, she was confined to the training grounds inside the village, as she felt like the Raikage was showing favoritism towards his adopted brother, but she would never say that out loud. Oh, you're just bothered by the fact that Naruto hasn't been able to spend much time with you, said Samui. Yujito huffed as she turned her head, making Samui smile. I can understand why you're worried about that. If I had someone like him as my boyfriend, I wouldn't have to worry about all the men around here staring at my breasts. Fiancé, Yujito corrected, as she's agreed, especially about the breast part, even though she can see the man around staring at Samui's breasts. Oh, that's right, said Samui. How can I forget that the two of you are engaged? Especially with that gem on your finger. Before anything else could say, hey guys, said Karu, as the both of them turned to see Karu and Amoy. What are you two doing here, asked Samui. I thought you were supposed to be on bodyguard detail. Yes, but the Raikage has requested myself, along with Amoy and Yujito, and your presence as well. Did the Raikage say what you wanted, asked Yujito. No, only that we were supposed to get you and bring you back to the office. The two blondes share a look before standing up. Lead the way. And with that they went straight towards the Raikage's tower. When they arrived there, they entered, as the Raikage put away his paperwork. I have a mission for the four of you, he said. That is at the utmost importance. As he opened a drawer and pulled out two scrolls. The first was a cloud-shaped symbol of Kumo. However, the second one was different, as they realized after a while that it was a symbol of Kiri. This scroll has important documents that will help solidify our alliance with Kiri. You are to deliver this scroll to the 5th Mizukage and wait there until the treaty can be signed and formalized. This will be a long-term A-rank mission of the utmost importance. I'm counting on the four of you. Yujito now realized why the Raikage called her for this mission, especially that he wanted to keep her in the village after nearly getting captured by the Akatsuki. It was obvious that she was being sent, seeing that Mei was one of the women Naruto was engaged to. And, along with the Raikage and everyone else who saw them at Chunin exam in Konoha, knew about their relationship. But she was happy. She finally get to leave the village. Meanwhile, It hadn't been long since Naruto had met up back with his squad. Sasuke was sealed inside the scroll, the prisoner transport, along with Itachi's body. Yamato, Kakashi, Kiba, Hinata, Shino, Sai, and Sakura were hopping from tree branch to tree branch as they were going back to Konoha. As Naruto scanned around, keeping his eyes open for any threat, Madara may have been injured, but that wouldn't be enough to stop the man. And even if he didn't want to attack, that didn't mean he wouldn't send a subordinate, like Kisame or Zetsu or both. Hey brat, Kyubi, Naruto said. It was very rare for the fox to start a conversation with him. I've been waiting to tell you this after your fight with that so-called Uchiha Madara, but that man was not Madara. Excuse me? Naruto was shocked. As he landed on the next tree branch, he stumbled and nearly lost his footing. But he flipped himself and caught himself on another branch. Naruto questioned Kakashi, surprised seeing the normally skilled Naruto fall off of a tree. As the rest of the squad also stopped looking at Naruto. Hold up, Kakashi, Naruto said. The Kyubi is telling me something important. He missed the look of shock that he got from the others. What do you mean that's not Uchiha Madara? Then who could it be? I don't know, but I'm only telling you what I felt. I know Madara Chakra signatures, I know my own, and that man was not him. But what about when he made you attack Konoha when I was born? I thought that you said Madara was the one that forced you into attacking the village. I never said that. You just assumed that because that Konan girl might have told you that Madara was the one leading the Akatsuki in the shadows. That he was a real Madara Uchiha. As Naruto heard those words, it was alarming. That mean that man was not the real Madara Uchiha? He was just using that name. As Naruto started to curse, so who the hell was that? Why was he impersonating Madara Uchiha? Especially one who has been considered one of the most powerful shinobi to date. None of this made sense. He could not see for a reason why Tobi would impersonate Madara when only a few people know. Different from himself, Konan, and Pain, they were the only one that truly know. But I thought that Madara was the only Uchiha that had the power to control you, Naruto said, making the Kyubi growl a bit. But Naruto ignored the growl. And if that really is the case, who out there has the power to subdue a Biju? How should I know? As far as I know, that blasted Madara was the only one who had the eyes to subjugate me. But for there to be another Uchiha with the power to control a Biju, it's troubling. Why is that, Naruto said, curious. He had his own reason, but suspected that the Kyubi reasons were different. The reason so troubling is because just not every one of the Uchiha clan can do this. To be able to do this, require more than just a Sharingan eye. From what I know, Madara's younger brother, Aizuna, also had the Mangekyo Sharingan, but that wasn't enough to control my actions. It has to have a strong mental ability. So whoever this man is, not only has a strong Sharingan, but has a powerful mental ability. It requires a powerful will that could suppress the Biju that they were trying to control. Exactly, the Uchiha must also have a very powerful chakra. It takes a lot to subdue me. Just the action by itself would require what you call more than a full worth of Jonin chakra. I see, Naruto says. He resists the urge to sigh as he felt a headache coming. Well, he had to change things up. Well, better to know about this now than find about it later when he is too deep in a lot of crap. Thanks, Kyubi. Whatever, brat, the Kyubi said. As Naruto almost smiled at the grumble in Kyubi's voice, he could almost picture him snorting at him. Naruto. Oh, what is it, sensei? I was just wondering, are you done talking with the Kyubi? And what was so important he had to tell you? Naruto tilted his head, deciding how much he should tell Kakashi and the others who were listening in. He couldn't tell them everything, and a secret can't stay a secret for too long when a lot of people know about it. The Kyubi was just giving me some information on the man I fought a few minutes ago. Oh, said Kakashi. Everyone could see that Kakashi was fishing for more information, but much as Naruto trusts Kakashi, this was not the kind of information just to hand out easily. As Naruto then shut his mouth. After a few seconds, Kakashi realized that Naruto was going to say anything else. Kakashi went back to looking around their surroundings as the group started to run again. 3 hours passed as Naruto came to an abrupt stop. His eyes snapped as he looked around. Naruto, said Sakura. As everyone was confused, they had been making good time, and they were just a few days away from Konoha. As Naruto wanted to get back to the village quickly, more than everyone else, so the Akatsuki won't be able to attack them out in the open. So why did he stop? Someone just activate one of my Harushin seals. Sensei, from this moment you're in charge. I want you to head back to Konoha with haste. Do not stop until you're in those walls. Understood? Yes, said Kakashi. Is there something wrong? I don't know, said Naruto. But everyone who has a Harasshin seal know that I'm on a mission. So for them to activate it, it must be something dangerous. See you at Konoha, he said, as he looked at all of them, as he then vanished in a yellow flash. The moment Naruto appeared, he knew that something was wrong, as he could feel the flare of chakra in the area. Looking around, he saw Jiraiya and Konan. They were faced off against the 6 paths of pain. Jiraiya was missing his entire right arm and he was on the ground panting heavily. Konan was faring better, but it was clear that she has seen better days as well. She was bleeding badly on a wound from left side of her torso. Her clothes were cut and torn. It was obvious what was going on. They were in the hidden rain. That must mean his sensei had tried to infiltrate the hidden rain. If he had the time, he would have cursed out Jiraiya for his foolishness. Reacting with a burst of speed, Naruto appeared behind the two. As Naruto placed hand on the water came up in a violent wave, surrounding the group, protecting them from the path that just was about to attack them. Lightning started cackling around the water, and sharp wind blades started spinning around it deadly, as they were in a dome. Naruto, said Konan, as she saw that Naruto already had an unconscious Jiraiya on his shoulder. As Naruto held out his hand to her, as she took it, as he pulled her towards him and wrapped his arm around her waist. As Naruto vanished in a yellow flash, the water then exploded outwards, causing the paths to jump away. Tendo, realizing that they were gone, he looked around. As the path started to head back to the base, he will have to inform Madara about this new development. The moment Naruto and Konan and Jiraiya appeared, Naruto went down to his knees as he gasped in air. Naruto-kun, said Konan, surprised, as she saw how exhausted he was. As Jiraiya was laying on the ground, the slow breathing was the only thing that made him know that your sensei was alive. Are you alright? Konan asked. Yeah, Naruto said. The Harasshin cost his triple when I'm taking one person at a time. And to make it worse, he just came out of a battle with the Fate Madara. By the time Konan had summoned him, he was running on empty and was barely able to use a Harasshin. As his eyes landed on Jiraiya, he remembered time was of the essence. As Naruto pulled a scroll from his kunai pouch, as he summoned the medical supplies. As Naruto popped 2 of the pills in his mouth, he hated to use the chakra pills, but the time was of the essence. I'm going to get snappy. I need you to stay with Jiraiya here and keep him alive. Konan quickly nodded. She wasn't a medical ninja, but being the one that healed most of her friend's wounds, she was able to do things. As Naruto disappeared, as Konan rolled Jiraiya on his back, he had lost a lot of blood and he was looking pale. As Konan grabbed the supplies and put some of the pills in his mouth, as she had to move his jaw so he could swallow them. As she ripped off the right sleeve of his shirt and used it, tying it around his hand. As Konan looked around to see that they were in a kind of a basement, as she saw several of Naruto Harasshin kunais on the wall. As Naruto then reappeared in a yellow flash with 2 people. As Naruto dropped on his hands and knees, as Tsunade cursed, as she rushed over to Jiraiya, running a medical scan over him. He's going into shock, Shizune. I need you to help me carry him upstairs. Yes, Tsunade-sama. Konan watched with tired eyes as they lift up Jiraiya. As they brought him upstairs. Naruto-kun, said Konan. Come on, said Naruto. As he got to his feet, his legs shaking a bit, showing how just tired he was. He looked like he was about to fall over as Konan came over and offered support. You're tired, she said. Yeah, no kidding, Naruto said. We ran into Madara on our mission. Konan flinched a bit. You fought him, she asked. Yes, it was probably my hardest battle yet, and I'm not even sure how serious he was. He then turned and looked at Konan. Let's head upstairs. There's something important I have to tell you. Moments later, Konan watches the wound on her torso heal. You're very good, she said. As Shizune smiled at her, as Shizune started to heal in the smaller cuts all over her body. I have been trained by Tsunade-sama since I was a little girl. She's taught me everything I know about being a medical ninja, and while I can't use her strength technique, I would like to think that my skills in healing are at least around her level. Konan gave a nod as she let the woman work, as she was in a hospital room. It's been a long time since she's been in the hospital. Despite the other Akatsuki members, she never really went out to capture any Bijous. So, it was a long time she went in a good fight. As her mind flashed back on the battle with her, Jiraiya and Pain, she should have entered the battle more quicker. If she had more resolves to fight her friend earlier, then maybe Jiraiya wouldn't be that injured. Because of her hesitation, there was a great chance that Jiraiya wouldn't live through the night. She could only imagine how much Naruto must be feeling right now. "There," said Konan. "Your wounds are healed, so you're free to leave. However, your body is still going to be very tender. I suggest not doing anything for a few days." "Thank you," said Konan. "No problem," said Shizune with a smile, as she made her way up, as the two of them left the room. "Do you know where I can find Naruto-kun?" asked Konan. "Just follow me, he's probably outside the emergency room." As Shizune noticed the suffix that Konan used. As they arrived to the door, they saw Naruto standing there, as the red light was still on. As Naruto was standing there with a worried look on his face, despite being exhausted and tired, he wouldn't move. But guys, I'll be ending this episode right here. If you want the next part of this, or know what to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn the bell notifications stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform, and stay tuned for the rest of the what is coming your way, and I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. But I'm out for now, see you guys soon, peace.